Game 1 preseason, first half takeaways. I'm not doing the second half. Too many weird lineups. Nothing can actually be learned from that portion of the game in my opinion. So we're going to focus on the first half and realistically the first like 18 minutes of this game where our normal rotations I think were in play. So let's tap in. Alright, so the first couple buckets, right? Playing off switches. Bradley Beal gets a screen from Nurk, and it's a great screen. It forces Beefs to switch on to Bradley Beal, and 95% of NBA players cannot contain Bradley Beal on an island, let alone a 6'10" guy masquerading as a power forward when he's a center. And Bradley Beal cooks him, step back, gets fouled, easy bucket to start the game. Very next possession, the Pistons miss. Kevin Durant is able to get the early pass ahead to Bradley Beal, who has Jalen Duren switched onto him at this point in a cross match in transition, and he's able to get to his mid-range spot and hit a bucket. So Bradley Beal has the first 4 points of the game, playing off his switches, but he was aggressive early. It was really great to see. I think Devin Booker picked up on his aggressiveness and was like, okay, you ain't gonna show me out here in my home city of Detroit, Brad. So on the first two possessions where we have to bring the ball up, Devin Booker is actually the one to bring the ball up the court. It wasn't Bradley Beal like some may have theorized, and that did happen later in the game, but the first two, it was Booker's opportunity to bring the ball up and act like the de facto point guard and initiate the set. And then he gets to his normal mid-range spot on that right wing and hits a nice little mid-range jumper. The guy's touch is freaking unreal, man. It's video game like with the shots that he makes and takes in the mid-range. So Book's got 2 shots, Brad's got 2 shots, and Durant doesn't have any shots yet. So next type of sequence, there's a 3 in the key call on Detroit. So Durant shoots the technical free throw, which I found partially interesting. And then on that very next possession where they get to retain the ball, he gets the ball on a swing pass and he buries a pull-up 3 in Beef Stew's face. This is essentially like 2 shot attempts for Beal, 2 shot attempts for Book, and 2 shot attempts for KD to start the game. And it's like, yes, man, this is exactly what we were hoping for. Like, honestly, nobody else take a shot. Every one of these guys needs to be dominating the possessions. And to start the game against this young Pistons team, they were able to get essentially any look that they wanted. Really good signs for what's to come. I would love to see it against better competition, but we won't get that until, honestly, game 1 of the regular season. So bring that on. So it's Brad, it's Book, it's KD, then it's Josh Okogie's turn. And mind you, Nurkic, he's just screening, he's just chilling. Exactly what you want from a center on this team. Okogie ends up kicking off the next sequence, rips Cade at half court, and then is able to dunk the basketball in transition. And on the very next play, the Suns get the ball, they swing it to Okogie, absolutely mixes Burks, gets to the rim, and it's 14-2, timeout Monty Williams. And honestly, just right there is enough to like end the video. We're going to win the whole fucking thing. After that, it got a little more sloppy and I was looking for situations that were not necessarily fully positive in that first sequence of the game. You know, after that timeout, the Pistons and Monty essentially come out and decide to attack Nurkic and pick and roll until the Suns prove that they can stop it. And realistically, they could not. Asar Thompson, Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, they were all able to get 2 feet into the paint, draw Nurkic, and force the help, and then the rolling big man is pretty much wide open, right? So Nurkic is no defensive anchor. The Pistons targeted him early and often after that initial timeout. He was quick to pick up some fouls in those scenarios, but I don't know how much I want to hyper focus on Nurkic's inability to protect the rim. One, this is an incredibly athletic front court, like maybe the most athletic in the league. So an interesting test to put Nurkic up against right away. They're aggressive, right? They're young, they're athletic, pretty much the archetype that would give Nurkic the most problems. It is what it is, man. Again, I don't know if I want to hyper focus on it because the guy didn't play past the second half. I'm pretty sure he knew that. So like getting these cheap fouls early in the game isn't really too much of an issue because they're not going to be playing the whole game. So it's a little tough, man, right? And Kevin Durant kind of got my attention in a negative way. The handle in the postseason last year was really suspect, and unfortunately we saw that pop up twice today. The first actual dribble drive from the perimeter that Kevin Durant did, he did turn the ball over. It bounced off his knee. It happens. Nothing to really be like all up in arms about. But then he tried to drive for a second time, literally the second time, and he essentially turns it over again. But Josh Okogie reads the ball like a 2K AI and is able to save it, retain possession, and dump it off to Nurkic in the post, who scores on the Thompson twin. Durant needs to clean up the handle is what I'm trying to get at. Some other negatives were Booker picking up 2 fouls, chasing somebody off a screen. He's just got to be better at that. I know I'm nitpicking in the first 18 minutes of the game, whatever, but he's got to be better at that going forward and be cognizant that this is how people are going to try to scheme him out of the game. He's just too good of an offensive player to do it on that end. So forcing him to pick up cheap fouls defensively is definitely going to be something that happens, and he's got to be prepared on how to navigate those screens and not pick up those cheap fouls going forward. Okay, let's talk rotations. So around the 6-minute mark of the first quarter, Beal and Okogie leave the game, and Eric Gordon and Grayson Allen enter the game. About a minute later, Nurkic is subbed out for Drew Eubanks, and then around the 4-minute mark, so a minute after that, Yuta Watanabe comes in for Kevin Durant, and the final 2.5 minutes of the game, Beal comes back in for Devin Booker. Just good to know that those are going to be what Vogel perceives as the top 9 guys. Something that I think the Suns will have to be prepared for is these empty corner sets where they are targeting the 2 weakest defenders in that starting lineup, and it's going to consistently be Nurkic and Beal. So those two getting on the same page as a pick and roll duo is just going to get better as the season goes on. And if we continue to shoot and score at this efficiency and this easily with our top 9 guys, it's going to be a really, really fun and engaging season. There's going to be highlight moments in every single game, pretty much every single quarter, maybe every single possession in some instances. So this is the most hyped I've ever been for a Suns team. The Chris Paul trade was great, but this is definitely the most excited I've ever been. I would like to hear your thoughts on what you thought of the preseason games. Was there anybody else that I didn't mention here that caught your attention, that caught your eye? Yuta, Allen, Gordon, they're going to be great. They're going to be fine. They're going to be snipers from the corner. And just knowing that, honestly, any one of those 3 is going to be a capable 4th or 5th guy next to our stars in the closing lineup is really, really comforting, man. I did not have a lot of faith last year in Josh Okogie. I did not have a lot of faith last year in Torrey Craig, Landry Shamet to make these plays consistently. And I have all the confidence and faith in the world that these 3 guys will be able to do that way better than what we had. So things to be excited about, things to kind of ponder and hope that they're not reoccurring stress points. The things that I saw were things that I was kind of expecting to see in a negative sense. So let me know what you think, y'all. Thanks again for tapping in. I'm going to have some clips relayed over this. Until next time, y'all. Thanks so much for joining the channel. Drop a like, drop a sub. Do rag out.